Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is the Rise News analyst, Emefiele.
Good morning, Kayode. Good morning, Ese.
Good morning.
Ayo, Ese, Myro. Myro, Ese.
Myro, Ese.
Why am I confusing this?
Because you're drawn to the essay. Yeah. Because it is your...
Yes, we'll start the review with this Nigeria's newspaper of record. The lead story, Emefiele resumed, says he remains committed to his oath of office, Buhari's policy direction. DSS denies arresting CBN governor. President intervenes, insists court order must be obeyed. Adegborowa, human rights group asks secret police to stop harassing Apex Bank's governor. Yes, Godwin Emefiele, the governor of the central bank, resumed. Recall, he went on vacation after his trip to the U.S. In the president's entourage. And ever since, there's been talk about his return. He's back, and he has resumed work at the central bank. The DSS, yes, the Department of State Services, yesterday denied the news making the rounds that the agency, the operative of the agency invaded the central bank's office and arrested Emefiele, describing it as fake news. So the DSS put in closure to that rumor, of course, that's what it was yesterday, about Emefiele being arrested. Now, other newspapers are also reporting this story. They have it as their lead. The Punch newspaper, Emefiele, DSS running battle paused as CBN governor resumes. Confusion as Secret Service debunks claims of arrest. Governor vows to work under president's direction. Emefiele will chair next MPC meeting. Spokesperson, of course, that meeting comes up on Monday the 23rd and Tuesday the 24th of January. That's next week. Now, the Daily Trust also has that story. Emefiele resumes amid fear of arrest. DSS denies invading CBN. Tension over arrest unhealthy for economy. Experts are warning. Inflation drops to 21.34%. MPC meets next week. Now, the Business Day newspaper also weighing in on the story in their lead. CBN, DSS to quiz bank CEOs over FX allocation. Emefiele resumes office ahead of MPC meeting, says Apex Bank. Yes. So, for now, we expect that the Department of State Services will just comply with court order because we recall the effort the DSS made to get the court to okay the arrest of CBN, of course, the CBN governor. Of course, the court ruled that you don't have enough evidence to back up your claim. The allegation which the DSS took to court was that Emefiele, the central bank governor, was funding terrorism. But we know that the government, the federal government, was given a list of those funding terrorism by the government of UAE. We are still waiting for the government to unfold that list and take those persons to court. But what we see now is different. But we're still waiting for that list because that list was handed over to the federal government some time ago. Nobody unveiled as sponsors of terrorism, nobody taken to court. Now, the Vanguard newspaper, alleged graft, treason, Tinubu, Atiku seek each other's arrest, disqualification, APC presidential candidates camp fires first salvo, recalls ex-VP's quarrel with Obasanjo over SPV accounts. Atiku retorts, cites for Fisher in US case over narcotics. Yes, recall that yesterday, Festus Keyamo, spokesperson of the APC Presidential Campaign Council attempted to use this platform to make his allegations, asking the press, why are you not carrying the story? Why are you not covering it like you did that of our principal? Of course, he's not the one to tell the media when to do their work. Keyamo should know that. Yesterday, they summoned the courage to address a press conference, and today, the media has covered it extensively. I don't even want to ask him. You have media under your control. Why did they not use it as their lead? Why did your own stations not choose it as their main story? You are asking others something they just picked up from the internet. Now you have come out to put a face to that, and you see it is being covered by the media. So those professionals, journalists who are working with Keyamo should advise him. I don't want to believe that they have surrendered their profession to Festus Keyamo to run roughshod just across the media. Now, the issues involved, they have raised. Keyamo said he's going to court, accusing Atiku Abubakar, while he was vice president, of setting up special purpose vehicle, which they allegedly used to siphon government funds. I hope they'll follow that through. But calling for the disqualification of Atiku Abubakar, just as the PDP campaign council members are also calling for the disqualification of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Nigerians want to hear about what they will do, how they will do it, when we have an economy that is almost on its knees, a country that is not working. We're spending trillions to subsidize fuel. The situation of power right now, not one to write home about. But the candidates and their campaign councils have decided to tear each other down. Nigerians are watching. Of course, the New Telegraph also carrying that story. Atiku Tinubu clash over corruption allegations, political thuggery. Launch of Jagaban army treasonable plan to disrupt elections, PDP alleging Atiku should be arrested, prosecuted for abuse of office, APC. I'll work with private sector to solve Nigeria's economic challenges. Atiku says it's risky to hand over Nigeria's future to Tinubu Obi. Tinubu meets with APC planning monitoring team, charges them to protect party votes. Now, the Nation newspaper, of course, has the story. APC PCC 6, Atiku probe for fraud within 72 hours. Petitions EFCC, ICPC, CDB, ex-VP unfit to contest, PDP fires back. Now, the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, at Chatham House, Obi vows to tackle oil theft. Debt servicing, unemployment. Of course, Peter Obi was at Chatham House yesterday, made his speech, and took questions. Well, he did not rely on teamship, he did it himself. And it was spot on, taking most of the questions. And all day I've been listening to radio all morning and people commenting on various aspects of his answers. Of course, he talked about IPOB. He was asked, why have you not condemned IPOB? He said, I will reach out to all aggrieved groups, whether IPOB, Yoruba, nation agitators, and I will talk to them, because even in my family, people are agitating, and I talk to them. Peter will be for you there. Well, I'm sure Nigerians are listening to the various candidates and their pitch for the top job in the land. Now, the Guardian newspaper, subsidy, stop 100% fuel importation, labor charges government. Local refining is way out, says Pengerson. Government using subsidy to blindfold masses, says Okon. Declare state of emergency. Probe on subsidy, says Omoyade. Labour to resist presidential candidates calling for removal, says NLC. Now, the fuel situation, still very bad. Still very bad. Spending billions, trillions to subsidize fuel. NMPC telling us we have enough fuel. Yet we are not seeing, we have queues all over the place, not able to distribute this petrol even until we can remove the subsidy. Perhaps somebody should just do the needful. Remove the subsidy. And there'll be fuel everywhere. You buy if you can. If you cannot buy, you park your car and use public transportation. Now, the foreign newspapers quickly. The Times of London. Mass walkout by teachers will hit millions of pupils. Wave of strikes to start next month. Union accused of turning back on children. Yes, Gillian Keegan, the education secretary, telling teachers, you are turning back on the children when you're supposed to be opening the doors. But the government of UK is more concerned. They are concerned not just with the children who will be missing class, but what the impact on the economy. Because parents will be forced to stay at home to take care of their kids, since they will not be going to school for about 4 days. But what is striking Kayode and Ayo? They strike for 4 days, they go back to work. But here, university lecturers who should know better, they will cripple the system for months and they lose academic session. And they tell you they want to save the system. And I've always said they are doing more harm even than the government to the university, public university system in Nigeria. But in the UK, teachers are going on strike for 4 days. And they're asking for pay rise. 8.9% proposed by the government. But the government is saying that increase will come from the budget of the schools. But they are saying the full weight of the increase should come from the government because they don't even have enough to take care of the schools right now. Kayode and Ayo, over to you.
I heard what you said, and we know that that is a climb, or to use another word, that's a country where things work and things work properly, where you know that remunerations are paid as and when due, when things get to be done the way it should be done. In the case of Nigeria, it's so different from what you see in the United Kingdom, to the point where it's now even difficult to take a position on whether to support the unions or to support the government. Because the whole thing has been muddied up to the point where you look at the agreement of the union with the government, and it just does not make sense to have an agreement signed, sealed, delivered, and not followed. And at the same time, you know the children are suffering, they're struggling, and the people who should be most concerned, professors, doctors, PhD holders, lecturers, teachers, who should be concerned about the future of those people who are children put in their care, they say we're not concerned. The government should be the one. So it's just so muddied up that it's difficult to say I'm on the side of the trade unions or I'm on the side of the government.
Yeah, government must keep to its promise.
Yeah.
Yes.
Promises are not meant to be broken.
Yes.
They're not.
Yes, but we must also care for the system
Absolutely.
you are fighting for, not just go
Abandoned
to
work
hell.
for months.
No.
For months.
No.
Well, nurses are to go on strike in a few days. Rail workers are said, we just talked about them reaching some sort of agreement with the government. And then obviously emergency workers, it was the winter of discontent in the UK last year, and then it doesn't seem to continue. So it looks like a long drawn winter.
Of course, because of the inflation.
Yes.
Every group wants a pay rise to keep up with the pace of inflation. Otherwise.
And it doesn't help with the reports that the large number of rich wealth is in the hands of a few. So when you hear reports like that and they're telling you there's no money to pay, it's difficult for people to see equity and justice in that. But thank you so much, Mr. Emefiele.